And finally, we have the concept of plugins within DatoCMS, which honestly is one of my favorite because the possibilities of what you can do with plugins is honestly pretty crazy. Plugins are usually either community plugins that you can go ahead and install, like on a catalog like this, where we have common use cases covered for things like a content calendar or web previews, or if you want something specific like a product inventory from that one PIM that you're using for an e-commerce site, you can also have your engineers or devs build a custom plugin for DatoCMS that would not be publicly available, but is just visible and interactable to you and your team. The way plugins work is also a bit, I would say, flexible because you can have them installed within the CMS as their own screen, as a field plugin, or as a sidebar plugin. Now, since we're working with a blank project, I'll give you a quick sneak peek into the actual system for DatoCMS.com to take a quick look into what plugins we're using. So across the field, we're using things like assets for getting images from Unsplash, a character counter that we use for certain SEO fields, the SEO and readability analysis for us to take a quick look at what the sort of social previews would look like when we create content, and so on and so forth. So these are all real plugins we're using within our own project for DatoCMS. And to take a quick look at what they look like, within a blog post, for example, we have a sidebar plugin for the web previews, which lets us sort of trigger a preview of what that would look like on a staging URL before we publish a blog post. We also have the SEO plugin, which is a field plugin. And since I've not done a great job, I haven't customized the H1, which is something I should probably do now. But this also gives me the possibility to look at what the post would look like when I share it on Twitter or on Facebook. This can also be extended to other platforms like LinkedIn and Slack and so on and so forth. But for now, we've just kept Google, Twitter, and Facebook. There's also the possibility to have an entire screen as a plugin. So here we have one called the content calendar, which kind of gives us a complete overview of what's been put out during the month. So depending on the different models we have within the website itself, we can see what's been published, by whom, when, so on and so forth on a calendar basis. We can also take a look at what it was like for the previous month and so on. And lastly, you can also have plugins within the media area. So in our own CMS project, we have, of course, the DALL-E for AI generation and Unsplash for finding sort of royalty-free stock images. So in this case, the flow is very simple. I go to Unsplash, I search for something like pink boots. I go ahead and I add this. Oh, I already have this. So I'm gonna, skip the upload, but you get how it works. So this is a quick look into how plugins work, and depending on your project and your use case, the possibilities of what you can do with this honestly are endless. If there's anything custom or specific you want to do with DatoCMS that isn't possible with the content view or the schema view, there's probably a plugin for it, or it's very easy to set one up.